Bluepoint has been closed. Sony have killed the studio. They bought them in 2021, which, for those of you playing at home, is 5 years ago. They didn't release any games under Sony. They released all of their games before Sony bought them. Because when Sony bought them, Sony wanted them to make games as a service games. And they were working on a God of War multiplayer thing that got cancelled. And that's it. They also did a little bit of like extra outside work on God of War Ragnarok, but apart from that, they didn't do anything for the past 5 years when Sony had them, because Sony bought them and were like, hey, we know you're used to like remaking games and stuff. That's like what you do really well. So what we're going to do is get you to do the complete opposite of what you do really well. And we'll get you to make a new game that is a games as a service game, which is like the hardest thing you can do. Especially making a popular one. And Sony knows that now. Like, they had this whole initiative to do a whole bunch of games as a service games. And they're all dead. They're all gone. The Horizon one's still coming out. That one's still coming. But everything else is gone and dead. This has to be the worst generation. Period. Full stop. This has been the worst generation of video games. And that sucks. I'm really pissed off. Because how? Surely you don't just look at games as service games doing well and go, let's just concentrate on just making all those. That's where all the money is, in those. Without thinking about the fact that there's only so much time in people's lives and they can only dedicate it to one game, probably. They're not going to play multiple games as a service games. How does that not make sense to you? And then they make studios make these games that they can't make, and then they close them down because they can't make the game that they can't make. And then that's it. And like Bluepoint, that God of War game, the games as a service God of War game, was shut down like a year ago, 2 years ago, something like that. So they've had time to pitch other ideas. Surely they were pitching like remaking other games, maybe a Bloodborne, maybe, I don't know, something else, Ape Escape. Who knows what they were pitching, right? Surely there was something good in there. But I feel like they were probably pitching things that were in their wheelhouse, something that they could make, that they knew they would be good at making. And so you were like, well, that's not a games as a service game, so we don't want it. How about we just shut you down? And it's not just Sony, it's Microsoft too. Microsoft's closing all their studios too because they're not making games as a service money. You know who is doing well? Nintendo. You know what they're not doing? Games as a service games. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how you can just make games that people want and enjoy and they will buy them? And it doesn't have to have all this extra bullshit on top to get all their money. That's what amiibos are for. But it's I really do mean this has been the worst generation. You know, we've had some great games. The games that have come out have been pretty good, especially last year. Like there were some great new games. But like the biggest game of last year was not put out by one of the big companies, you know? So I feel like There's a lesson to be learned here by looking at other companies that are doing well, other developers that are doing well, releasing games that are not games as a service games. There seems to be a lesson that can be learned that doesn't result in you closing down studios that you just fucking bought. Yeah, this is maddening. You know, some of the closures made sense, all right? This one's ridiculous. This one's insane. Might as well just fucking close Naughty Dog. Get rid of Insomniac. They're not making games as service games. Get rid of them. Don't need them. Just make 400 Horizon games. Yeah, this is I'm pissed off and this sucks. And I'm sorry for all the people who've lost their jobs today that worked at Bluepoint, whose jobs were fine before Sony bought them. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. This has been a Newsday special report. Bye.